Campfire Story.
My father abandoned us when I was 8. From there on, my mother dedicated herself to take care of me on her own. By the time I was 12 years old, we moved into the Kowloon walled city in Hong Kong because my mother found a job in the area. Our apartment was at the highest floor and at the most left side of the building. Upon entering our new apartment, it seems it was much more smaller than the house we lived in before. I took off my shoes and placed them on the shoe cabinet that was placed on the right side of the door. I had first went into the kitchen. There present was a rectangular wooden table with 4 wooden chairs present. Behind it was the sink. The faucet took some time for the water to flow, and there was always brown water coming out first before the clear water flowed. Above it was a cabinet where the plates were placed, and beside the sink was an old rundown refrigerator. It was still functional, so it would have been a waste to just throw it away. As I walked to our apartment, the wooden floors seemed to be creaking. There were 2 bedrooms on that apartment, one on each side of the hallway, and at the end was the bathroom. The corner of our apartment was where the washer and dryer was placed, followed by the fire escape. There were hangers present at the back where the clothes could be placed to hang and dry. After my exploration, I went to my bedroom to put all my things in. I chose the right side of the apartment because of the window to the outside. There wasn't much of a view to see because the buildings were compressed among one another. It felt like there was only a 5 or 6 feet distance between our building and the next. In case that you didn't know, the Kowloon walled city wasn't the nicest city in Hong Kong. In fact, it was known to be the slum city, or the city of darkness of Hong Kong. As I entered my bedroom, it was still pretty plain, as there were no furniture yet nor designs in my room. The only thing you could see was the bed by the window, a life-size mirror at the foot of the bed and a drawer beside the door, and across the bed. Other than that, my bedroom was empty. The first night on our new apartment, I couldn't sleep. I had this feeling that someone was staring at me. I looked out of my window to clear my head. I kept daydreaming about our previous home back in the suburbs, and how much I missed it there. I was snapped back into reality when the light across from our apartment turned on with a glowing yellow light. The apartment itself had a massive window where you can see what's inside the apartment. There was barely anything there but a rundown couch and a small coffee table. The floors were run down and the paint of the walls were starting to peel off, despite the appearance of the apartment to be so unattractive. It intrigued me. Suddenly, I noticed movement inside the apartment on the other side. I couldn't see much, but it seemed like it was a woman wearing a white long traditional Chinese robe and a veil walking inside that apartment. Her movements were odd as well, like she was tiptoeing rather than walking. The lady suddenly stopped her tracks like she sensed something, when slowly she turned to my direction. "Chan Chan, why are you still up?" I turned around behind me and sighed for relief. It was just my mother standing on the door of my bedroom. "You scared me, Mama," I said. "Well, you shouldn't be up at this hour. We still have a ton of unpacking to do tomorrow," she said. She then approached me to tuck me back to bed. When I turned back around outside my window, the apartment across me was now dark and the woman with the long white robes was nowhere to be found. The next day, we had finally finished unpacking and arranging all our things in our new apartment. For doing a successful job, my mother bought wontons, dumplings, and sweet and sour pork for dinner. The 12-year-old me was so happy and quickly ate all of them. "Chan Chan, I'll start working tomorrow," my mother said. "I'm taking the night shift because it pays more, and we can now find a place for our own. Now you know what that means, don't you? It means you're the man of the house while I'm away. So I will prepare your dinner before I leave, and all you need to do is heat it up. Clean up after yourself and be at bed by 10 p.m. Can you do that for me?" "Yes, Mama," I grinned. On the next day, Mom left at exactly 6 p.m. I had eaten dinner at 8, cleaned myself up, the house, and by the time it was 10 p.m., I had now laid in bed. I still couldn't sleep, so I ended up reading old Master Q comics from a newspaper I found. I don't know what time I fell asleep, but I suddenly woke up from the sound of tapping on my window. When I got up, there was nothing there, but across from my room was the apartment again, all lit up. Not only that, it was the woman, an old woman in her mid-60s, staring straight at me. She had a pale gray face with long hair. Her eyes was all white and she did nothing but to just stand there staring at me. The shock immobilized me. I couldn't do anything but stare at her back. She was now slowly raising her arm and pressed her hand against the window glass. In doing so, a hand mark suddenly appeared on my window glass. The mark started moving now, scratching down my window. As it gave a screeching sound, I was still immobilized, but tears were now running down my face. And I think I was now pissing my pajamas due to the fear. While all this was happening, I could hear a faint whisper beside my ear. "Chan Chan, my Mai is here. Would you want some cookies? Nai will take care of you." The voice was that of an old woman. Its tone had a bit of evil malice in it, as the whispers kept repeating and repeating. The old lady on the other side was now smiling at me with malice. Her yellow, incomplete set of teeth was now exposed and red liquid was oozing out of her mouth. I don't know how, but I had woken up from my bed as my mother stormed into my bedroom. "I told you to get up at 8 a.m., scolded Mother. "And what is that smell?" I looked down on my bed and saw the yellow stain on my pajamas. And on the bed, Chan Chan, aren't you too old for you to be peeing in bed? Get up, remove your clothes and put it in the washing machine along with your bed covers, my mother demanded. Could it have just been a dream? It can't be, because when I checked on my widow, I could see the scratch markings still present, all for scribbly lines on my window. On the following night, I had placed curtains to cover the glass window of my bedroom. But at 12 midnight, I was awoken again on the tapping on my window. I wouldn't dare check that again. After what happened last time, my bedroom door slowly opened. It must be Mother coming home early from her shift. But I couldn't see her clearly because of the dark. All I could see was an outline of a woman. "Mama, there's something outside my window," I whispered towards her. Mother didn't say anything back. She just slowly walked inside the bedroom. As she walked slowly inside my bedroom, the floors creaked every step. Creak, creak, creak. "Mama, there's someone tapping at the window." My voice was now a little higher, but still no response from Mother. Instead, she sat down on the corner of my bed and started crying. The tapping on my window has stopped. Mother's cry was faint, and the sobbing was a little low. "Mama, are you okay?" I slowly reached my arms toward her as she was sobbing. As I was about to touch her shoulder, she suddenly stopped crying and was slowly facing towards me. My eyes adjusted towards the darkness and realized that the woman in front of me was not my mother. It was the old lady from across the street. Her pale gray face was now much more clearer. She had long white dry hair and was covered by a white veil. Her eyes were pale white and her mouth was slowly opening. Her scream was low, getting higher and higher, and as her screaming was getting louder, her jaw kept getting longer, until she let out the highest pitch of a scream that I ever heard. The scream jolted me out of bed and fell down to the floor. I ran and cried out of my bedroom, not daring to look back. I raced towards the kitchen where our telephone was placed. I dialed the office number of my mother and hid under the kitchen sink. My mother picked up a few seconds later, and the only words I could muster was, "Old lady in my room," over and over again. While I was waiting for my mother, I hid under the kitchen sink. The only thing you could hear was the dripping of the water from the pipes of the kitchen sink. I shuddered under there. My hands were shaking, still holding the telephone. There was no more screaming from the old lady, but I would not dare check outside if she was still there. A few minutes later, I could hear the front door open, followed by footsteps. "Mama's home," I thought to myself. I stepped out of the sink cabinet with excitement, but when I got out, it wasn't my mother standing by the doorway. It was the old lady. It was slowly walking towards me with its arms reaching out like it was trying to grab me. I couldn't move. All I could do was cry out in fear. "Leave me alone," I screamed. It did not respond. It only drew closer and closer towards me. And then suddenly, "Chan, Chan Chan, wake up." I woke up from my mother gently slapping my face as she cradled me into consciousness. She said that when she arrived home from work, she saw me passed out on the kitchen floor with me still holding the telephone. By breakfast, she said she was now worried of me, that it seems it was too soon for leaving me alone at home. So she decided to transfer and take the day shift instead. The following nights I couldn't sleep with the lights off, even though it hurt my eyes. I didn't want to see the old lady in my room ever again. The following nights seemed quiet, and no haunting ever occurred from the old lady. It seems that Mom being at home has drove the old lady away. However, the story not ended there. A week later, on November 8, 1992, there was a huge storm in Hong Kong. We had to place pots and pans all around our apartment to catch all the water that was leaking. Electricity was out because of the storm. By nightfall, I had woken up because my mother lay beside me on my bed. I felt the weight of the bed shift from the other side. It was strange because I was facing towards my door, and I didn't notice my mother going in my room, but I could feel her long hair touching my cheeks. I could feel her breath breathing down behind my neck. "Mama," I called out to her. No response. Instead, I could feel her hand touching my legs up towards my thighs. I felt something sharp as she moved her hands. She exhaled a warm breath that smelled like rotten meat. From there on, I knew this wasn't my mother sitting beside me. "Chan Chan, Nai will take care of you." Her breath was now more rotten than ever as she was moving her legs up my body. Her long claws kept brushing through my skin. I couldn't move again. All I could do was slightly tilt my head to see the mirror reflecting on the creature. It was barely visible, but I could see the old lady closely beside me. It was now opening its mouth. Her jaws was widening like it was ready to eat me. Red ooze that must have been saliva kept dripping down my face as her mouth widened. I couldn't move. At that time, it seemed like I was going to die. To be eaten by an old lady that haunted our apartment. All I could do was close my eyes and cry. At that moment, thunder suddenly roared outside. The noise jolted me to scream for my mother. After a few cries, my mother appeared on my bedroom door asking me about what happened. I couldn't speak. All I could do was cry the rest of the night. My mother slept beside me for the rest of the night. I could not sleep in my bedroom after that. Instead, me and my mother shared the same bedroom for the rest of the year. By 1993, the Kowloon walled city was contracted to be bulldozed and taken down by the government. Me and the rest of the 30,000 residents were forced to relocate somewhere else. I didn't know what caused the haunting in our apartment, and why the ghost didn't appear itself to my mother. It only targeted me. Up until 2013, I had read a bunch of old articles in newspapers about Kowloon walled city. One article back in 1986 tells the story about one incident that happened near our apartment. The police was following a lead about the child kidnappings around the area. They ended up in an old herbal shop owned by a 65-year-old woman named Jin Mai Huang. On the basement of the shop, they found the 8 missing children. 2 were decapitated, 1 died due to malnutrition and dehydration, and 5 were shocked to their cores, trapped in a small cage where they can barely move. Jin Mai was not seen during the police raid, nor did they recover her body in the following years to come. Some say she created an underground passageway in the apartments of Kowloon. Others say she committed suicide before the police could capture her, but one thing is for certain. I will never return to Kowloon walled city ever again. The end. Subscribe or I will haunt your house. If you like this video, please do comment, like, and subscribe for more. Thanks for hearing. See you in the next one.